we traveled across Italy to San Giovanni Rotondo, where we stayed at the Gran Paradiso Hotel for 2 nights. The first morning, Father Roy said Mass near the old crypt of Padre Pio in the sanctuary of St. Mary of Grace. After Mass, we watched a video and listened to a talk given by a priest that lived with Padre Pio for 3 years.
Our Lady never refuses me the grace through the recitation of the Holy Rosary.
We then toured the monastery where St.Padre Pio lived from 1916 until his death in 1968. Built in 1540, the old Church of Our Lady of Grace is where Padre Pio celebrated Mass and heard confessions. He received the stigmata in the choir loft of this small church in front of this crucifix in 1918. The cell in which Padre Pio lived and died is preserved as he left it. When this church became too small to accommodate all the pilgrims, a new, much larger church was constructed adjacent to the old church. It was completed in 1959. After Padre Pio was canonized by Pope John Paul II on June 16, 2002, a new, larger basilica opened. The Padre Pio Pilgrimage Church has a capacity for 6,500 seated persons, and an additional 30,000 people can stand outside by the external altar. Also known as the Church of St. Pio, the new sanctuary was almost entirely financed by the offerings of pilgrims. In the lower level of the church is the crypt for Padre Pio's remains. A curving hallway whose walls are covered with mosaics leads to the crypt. The mosaics depict events in Padre Pio's life. Padre Pio's crypt has a ceiling made of golden ceramic tiles with indirect lighting that give the room a golden glow. Pilgrims stand in line to pass by Padre Pio's body.
Padre Pio, since when he was a little boy, he received the gift of visions and apparitions of Our Lady, Jesus Christ, the guardian angels, and also he received the stigmata at Pietrelcina when he was born, but for a short time, visiting Pietrelcina, each one is able to see the trees under which Padre Pio received the first time the stigmata, but they last about 1 year and they disappeared. But Padre Pio, since when I was a little boy and the young students in the friary, promised God to pray and accept the suffering, to imitate, no, but to cooperate with Jesus Christ for the salvation of the world. And for this reason, he offered himself to not imitate, but I repeat, to cooperate. And he received the stigmata at the feet, hands, and the chest. On some news on the 20th of September in 1918, while he was praying in front of the crucifix that you have visited or you go to visit, that he wore for 50 years. We have one of the book here called Padre St. Pio Pedicina, Everybody Sireneum. It means that Padre Pio tried to help Jesus Christ to bring the cross for all his life. So Padre Pio was defined by the Church and recognized from the humanity, the saint of prayer and the suffering. He tried to accept all the sicknesses and all the cross that he received from God, offering them to God for the salvation of the world. After, Padre Pio was a man of prayer, and I saw Padre Pio when I was here all the time praying and praying, not only for himself, but for all the people who came to visit him and ask him to pray for them, especially the sick. Padre Pio prayed to God, first of all, our Father. Prayed Jesus Christ, our Redeemer, and especially prayed during the Mass, because the Mass for Padre Pio was the altar, and the altar was the Calvary. And when he celebrated Holy Mass, he said, I revive in my body what happened on the Calvary, the passion, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. This was the Mass of Padre Pio, as it is also our Mass, the same. But the Mass of Padre Pio, there was something different from my Mass and the Mass of the other people, or priests better. And a lot of people saw Padre Pio crying during the Holy Mass, because he did not say the words, but he meditated some part of the Mass, especially the consecration and the elevation and the communion. During this time, it happened to him what happened to Jesus on the Mount of
Calvary.
Yes, not Calvary, but the Transfiguration.
Oh, Transfiguration.
And for this reason, a lot of people, the church was overcrowded of people. This was the Mass of Padre Pio. And many people that take part to the Mass of Padre Pio was transformed also themselves. They came sinner and returned home full of the grace of God. Thanks Padre Pio, prayer and the Mass. Padre Pio also to visit and to pray every day in front of the tabernacle, and invited each one of the pilgrims here yesterday but also today, during the day when it's possible, to visit Jesus Christ in the church. After Padre Pio loved Our Lady, he learned to love and to pray Jesus Christ and Our Lady since he was a little boy on the knees of Mommy. I heard from his mouth when he said this truth to us and encouraged the modern, I think also the family, the father and the mommy, to do the same things that the mommy and the father of Padre Pio did for himself. So when he left Pietrelcina, the mommy at the station gave him one of the rosary that Padre Pio kept with him in his room. But how many rosary, said Padre Pio during one day, I never asked him, but I saw him all the time saying and saying the rosary. I would like to tell all my children to love and to love Our Lady, to make other people to love Our Lady, and to say the rosary every day. And the reason, I think that this one of Padre Pio, Our Lady, Our Lady. He said, Our Lady never refuses me a grace through the recitation of the Holy Rosary. For this reason, he prayed Our Lady, and through Our Lady to Jesus Christ. And all the time that people came to meet him, to thank him, he said to them, go to the church and you must thank Our Lady. Yes. I think that a lot of people today is very, very fond of Our Lady and to say the Rosary. I remember during the Second Council, some priests also refused to say the Rosary, telling everyone that the Rosary was a lulling prayer and it was very noisy. But Padre Pio scolded them. Scolded them, Padre Pio, and said the Rosary is the little breviary for people. We say that once upon a time, I don't know, the breviary, you know. Yes, but for common people, it is the Rosary. And he encouraged because Our Lady is not only Mommy of Jesus Christ, but is also our Mother. And Jesus Christ from the cross gave us Our Lady as Mommy, protector, and everything, our Mommy. The Mommy that understands, a Mommy that is all the time ready to help us, not only singularly, but all the church. And we know, studying the history of the church, that every time, hard time for the church, Our Lady came to help singularly of us and the church. During the Middle Eve or after, when Our Lady came and helped the Christian army against Turkey, Lepanto. Our Lady came to help us during the French Revolution at Lourdes. And Our Lady came also the last time that recognized by the church in Fatima during the time of the war, and also the communism started in Europe and everywhere. Our Lady came to help us. For this reason, Padre Pio encouraged us not to have a devotion, but to choose Our Lady and pray and memory of Our Lady for all the time. Padre Pio loved St. Michael Archangel because you heard that Padre Pio, the life was full of temptation of the devils and was also beaten by the devils. And all the time he prayed St. Michael Archangel. Padre Pio was very devout of the guardian angels. And all the time he prayed the guardian angel. And about the guardian angels, Padre Pio was encouraged also as invisible companion. We must time forget that we have one angel, one on the left and other on the right. Who is? One is the devil, the other the guardian angels. And we must all the time hear the voice of the guardian angels. If you cannot come to me, this is the Padre Pio words. Send me your guardian angel. He can take a message from you to me, and I will send you a reply through him. For this reason, if you have something to tell Padre Pio, and especially now, we are not able to talk with Padre Pio alive, but we must send him to heaven, our guardian angels. After Padre Pio loved Saint Joseph and all the saints, Padre Pio was a man of prayer and suffering. And he all the time used to repeat, you have seen all the people around Padre Pio shouting, Father, Father, Father. And Padre Pio said, I am only a poor and a simple Capuchin friar. And all the people rushed to Padre Pio when he was still alive, and also today people rush to St. Giovanni Rotondo to meet God through Padre Pio. You are able, visiting the tomb of Padre Pio, to open your heart to him and to tell him each one you wish to tell him. There is the way the speaker said to you. On the left there is St. Francis of Assisi, and on the right is the life of Padre Pio, similar, because Padre Pio tried to not to copy, but to follow the steps of St. Francis of Assisi, our father and our founder. There are a lot of things to say. Something Padre Pio with American people. When Padre Pio entered into the friary, the family was very poor. So the father, in front of you, left Pietrelcina and the family and came to San Giovanni, to the United States, to earn some money for Padre Pio studying. After this lady in front of you is Mary Pye from Morristown. She left the United States and came to live here to help Padre Pio, not only spiritually but also material. And he helped not only Padre Pio, but also people from St. Giovanni Rotondo. During the Second War, this lady was an interpreter between the American soldiers and Padre Pio. They came to visit Padre Pio, and I have here two photos that one of the Italian lady who got married with one of the soldiers said to me here, this is the lady with American soldiers with Padre Pio. So a lot of them came and returned to the United States. They, before leaving Italy, they came to San Giovanni Rotondo and asked Padre Pio to bless them and to pray for them and their families. They promised Padre Pio, we spread your fame also in the United States. And they helped Padre Pio. When Padre Pio built the hospital, the house of the relief for the poor and for the sick, no money. But the United States came to help Padre Pio, and he received much money, how much, I don't know. And through the American help, Padre Pio was able to head the hospital. That you heard the voice of Padre Pio and said, this is the fruit of my heart and the charity of people. For this reason, yes, it was 11, and I think the Cardinal Law brought this, the tour. Before or after, I don't know, but there is, and this is Padre Pio between to protect. And they brought the flag very big, and we put the flag into the house of Mary Pile, and we kept it on this one, the flag into the 2 hours. This, I remember when I was here, I introduced to Padre some people, not a lot of people from the United States, but we all the time accepted and blessed them. Only one is called me and them, because it was at the time of miniskirts. And Padre Pio was against. I introduced Padre Pio. Then Padre Pio saw that, go away, you and the priest that accompany you. I remember where in the old sacristy, when you asked to come here in the old sacristy. But this was Padre Pio, was very strict, hard, but very sweet, according to the time. Because he was a human being. And the human, sometimes we are very happy, sometimes we are mourning, sometimes we are very, how would you say, hungry, not hungry, but angry.
Yeah, angry.
But about Padre Pio was about the penance. He made the penance, but it's not, I read, but I was not with him. When he, for 40 years or 40 days, he did not touch food. But when I was here, Padre Pio ate a little, but it's false that Padre Pio never touched. Otherwise, he was not an angel. He had a body and also the soul. This is, in short, the life of Padre Pio. He wore the stigmata for 50 years. Before the death, they disappeared. God gave them, and God
Took them away.
on them. But Padre Pio was saying not on account of the stigma, but on account of his holy life. He loved the sick, he prayed for them, and some of them were cured by God. And for them he built the hospital. He loved the sinners, and for the sinners he spent all the day praying, hearing the confession, and offering the Holy Mass. And for the poor, the same. So, Jesus Christ said, or in the Gospel we said, the Apostle, if we say that I love God and that I do not love my brothers, I am a sinner. For this reason, Padre Pio was not a liar, because he loved both God and humanity. This is in short Padre Pio life.